Shitting. We're live. Hello, everyone. Got the comments coming through already. How is everyone?
I'm good.
Good. I'm very well, thank you, mate. I'm very well. How are you, Baz?
No, mate, about yourself.
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. We've already had a conversation before. This is solely just for entertainment purposes. So, thanks for joining us today. So we've got a bit of a special treat today. I did say last night that it will be a bit of a treat. So today we're going to be looking at doing a review. It's mainly going to be around one fragrance. We're probably going to be talking around kind of like the brand in general as well. But we've got the lovely Tony from Fragdicted here to my right. That's my list back. And then Barry just beneath. There he is. So the fragrance that we're going to be talking about mainly today is this bad boy, Nocturnal Oud by Perfumologist. So we're going to just have a general chat. It's going to be fairly free-flowing. We're going to be talking about a couple of kind of main topics. Look, Baz hasn't even... this is going to be a very first impression. Also, we're going to get everything here. What a treat. What a treat. So yeah, it's going to mainly be a bit free flowing, just a general discussion around a couple of points. But considering Barry hasn't even opened it yet, I think we'll start off with that, shall we? That's a bit of a surprise. Should we start off with him opening it and giving us his first impressions? I like that. Look at this.
I haven't even got a knife or anything.
The anticipation is building. There we go.
I'll break it to a funny.
So whilst we're opening that, what do we think of the presentation then, Tony? How does the presentation? I'm talking from the box to the bottle as well. How do we think that we would rate the presentation, and what would we say about it?
Yeah, I like the soft touch box.
Yeah.
It fits very snugly in its little holder. It's got the ingredients and stuff on the back. The bottles, I like the frosted finish on them. I'm not that keen on sort of the logos on the front and the writing. I would maybe make a little bit sort of, I don't know, a little bit less loud. But you know what? If you have a few of those lined up on your shelf in different colours, I think they look all right.
Yeah, I think the writing on it, like you said, with it being gold as well, like really shiny gold, when it catches the light, it is a bit in your face, and the writing on it feels almost like military, especially with the kind of like the color theme to it as well, which is a little bit odd. But like you said, I do like the frosted glass. I like the big cap. Cap it's kind of like hollow wood, but yeah, I really quite like it. And the fact that, like you said, with all of them, like I say, not all of them in this range, but a few in this range, with them looking like this, but different colours, could look quite nice in a collection together. There's Baz giving it showing it from all angles there.
The cap reminds me of Black Afghano cap.
Yeah, yeah.
The black wood.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite nice. Yeah,
the wooden caps are quite nice. Just so you can see they're quite similar on them all. I've got the blue one there called Blue.
Yeah.
And actually, the light in here is terrible, but
let's not start on the light, shall we?
let's not focus on the presentation from my screen.
But yeah, one of the things I will say about these bottles are the atomizers are fantastic on this as well. The pressurized atomizers that Barry you'll get to see. Look at that. Look at that. You're going to be, they are, yeah. It's a really, really lovely pressurized atomizer. It comes out really soft, and whatever it hits, it just, the vapor, it's lovely. So presentation, tick, done. Baz has just got his first impressions there. So moving into the scent profile, how's that working for you, Baz?
It's a rose oud, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's quite nice though. The rose is a little sparkly. It's not like your normal rose ouds.
I'm going to give mine another spray actually. One of the things I will say about it is and we'll talk about longevity later, but it's absolutely nuclear. It is like a couple of sprays will last literally days.
You do tend to find a lot of rose ouds do last quite a long time.
Yeah, they do.
That's really nice. I like that. It's quite different to a lot of other rose ouds that I've smelt.
Yeah, I tell you how I explained it, Bazza. Rather than rose oud, I explained it as a rose.
It's very rosy. It is extremely rosy. And I was when I first sprayed this, I was quite surprised at. I was expecting it to, with the name oud, I was expecting it to be kind of like an oud rose rather than a rose oud or a rose as you describe it.
Yeah.
But it is really, really rosy. And now rose, I'm not the biggest fan of rose, like that. It's not my favorite note, but there's something about this that it is really quite pleasant. When I first sprayed it, and I think because it's so powerful, I think I was a bit thrown off by it, but taking some time to kind of get to know it a little bit more, because it lasted on me for literally days, you kind of get used to what the profile is. So, but yeah,
it's got a touch of sweetness in there, hasn't it? Some vanilla in it, or?
Of the night. Yes, it is.
Yeah, so this is a clone of The Night by Frederick Malle, which I believe is silly expensive.
Yeah, it's mega money. And it's meant to be quite a loud fragrance as well, quite a dark, quite a loud rose oud. This, I've just let them know what the notes are. It's bergamot, Turkish rose, agarwood, and amber. So there's not many notes listed. And actually going through the there's not many reviews on Fragrantica. It has some mixed reviews, but it's mainly good. And we can only give you what we think.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I did a live, didn't I, with Mohit and discussed it,
which is really interesting. Yeah.
And I really enjoyed his company. Actually, he really surprised me. When I got these through, I don't know how you guys felt, but I wasn't overly excited to start with. And even going into the live, I didn't really know what to expect from him. But he's quite charismatic, isn't he? He's quite.
He's a personality, isn't he? He is. You can tell that he's got a love and a passion for what he does just by the way that he talks.
And he had won me over by the end of it, I must say, in terms of talking to him and seeing his passion for it. I didn't know what I was letting myself. I've never spoken to him apart from DM quite a few times, actually. But then when I got him on camera and we spoke, actually, I really enjoyed the live with what I did with him. So
I've seen a few of his videos before, and he's very charismatic, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I caught about 10 minutes. I was in and out of that live that you did on Instagram.
The agarwood, the oud in this, I find is really reminiscent of oud wood in Tom Ford. It's got that sweet. It's almost kind of a little bit sweet, and I don't know if that's because it's complemented by the rose. But I find that there is a similarity there between the two, which is really nice, because it's probably one of my favorite oud fragrances, even though it's not very oudy.
Yeah,
it's definitely not a challenging oud, is it?
No, it's very, very sweet. It's definitely a sweet, jammy rose. Do we mention about the performance at this stage?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Longevity, performance. So performance on this, as I mentioned before, it's beastie. It's beast mode. Like when I first sprayed it, this is a very small room. As we know, this is a very small room. It's literally like I'm at the back wall here. It's my office, so it's very small. It does what it needs to do. But when you spray something that's as strong as this in a room this size, trust me, it was in here for days. And I'm not exaggerating when I say days. It was literally days that I could smell this for. So if you put this on your skin, it's lasting an easy 24 hours. And I reckon that even after a shower, you would still be able to get that.
So
easy.
it says eau de parfum on the box. Is it an eau de parfum?
Yeah.
You know what,
What, do you know what the percentage of the oils is?
No, I can't remember what he said the percent. I think they're quite high. I've got a feeling they're as high as sort of 20-25%.
I thought once you're over 25%, then you're
Comes
talking
parfum.
parfum.
Extract. Yeah.
Yeah.
It behaves. You know what? It projects and stuff like an eau de parfum, but it actually behaves in terms of how long it stays in an area or on your skin. It is genuinely, I hate using that word, but it is beast mode. If you describe any fragrance at beast mode, it would be this. Now, my wife isn't that keen on rose oud combinations at all, and it has been something for me, as I think I've publicly said, that it's not my favourite genre of fragrance either. There are some I like more than others, but you know what? I love how sweet it is. But moving on back onto that performance, I sprayed it, and this isn't a bad sized room. And we have to work at the desk that we're at. My wife works from this desk as well. And it stayed in this room, just a couple of sprays on a card like that. I got rid of the card, and it was like the fragrance had stuck to the desk. We'd wiped it clean, and you could still smell it. Now, when it's not your wife's favourite fragrance, you can imagine her comments to me. It was like we had to jet wash the room to get rid of it. It is that strong. But it's not unpleasant. It's not the worst thing in the world to be left lying around. You have to like rose, though. You really have to like rose.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of rose, so it's not that I dislike it. It's just not my favorite note. But I agree. Like once it's on something, it's on there. It takes a while for you to get it off unless you scrub and scrub and scrub. But yeah, for I suppose for bang for your buck in terms of performance wise, you're getting it. Because it will last and last and last, and it's you can't argue with a fragrance that performs the way this does, because I wish all fragrances kind of perform the way this does, especially for the price of it.
Yeah, we've got a code by the way of Fragdicted 10. I'll explain to him, I've got no kickback from that at all. That's he knew about the live. And he's emailed me with a code for people that are watching, if you're interested. Fragdicted 10, which I've just dropped in there on the website, will get you 10% off the fragrance as well. That'll go some point as sort of paying a little bit of the shipping for it. So you can buy it as well if you're in the UK. If the shipping becomes too much, they are stocking it on, I believe, the Roma Concepts website as well.
Yeah, there's a few. I've noticed that there's a few on the Aroma Concepts website as well. There's a few different ones. But speaking of price, it is kind of. I think it is I think it's 50 quid. I think someone's even just dropped it in the chat, haven't they? That's the one. Yeah, $49.99 on the website. But I think the last time I looked at it, there was an offer on, and I think it was like 35 quid.
Yeah, I see that, 35 quid, and you could, and when you log in, when I move further through, you got a first time discount as well, like came down to like £31 something.
Yeah.
But then you add, because he's shipping from India, you add sort of 12, 15 quid on, so it takes it back up to that sort of 40, £45 mark delivered, which, you know what, 50 ml, the strength that it is.
Yeah, I mean, you're not getting through it. You're not getting through it anytime soon, are you? For the strength that it is, you need 1 or 2 sprays maximum with this, and because of the atomizer as well, you're getting really good coverage on it. You spray that a couple of times on yourself, that's you done for the week. Barry, has it settled? How is it? Is it changing much for you, or is it still remaining the same?
It's very jammy. It's a very light rose at the same time, so it's got a syrupy feel, but I can see that it's like lifting. I really like it.
So, question that I've got for you two then is, who is this for? Who is this type of fragrance, or this specific fragrance? Who is it for? What's your demographic? Who's buying this?
I wear it all day long.
Baz is buying it.
I'd wear it all day long.
It's I think it's for people that are into their oud roses. I think it's someone that really likes rose fragrances, looking for something that's strong, that can last. And I can't help but think it reminds me of a lot of Middle Eastern type stuff.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a niche head and you're into this kind of perfumery, I think, and you want something that you can spray, not worry about, and not have to go back to, you can spray it at the beginning of your day and it will still be there when you get home from work and you haven't got to worry about spraying it again.
It'll be there when you wake up the next morning, let alone get. Yeah, this to me, like you said, it feels Middle Eastern. And I don't know if that's just because we know it's from the other side of the world or anything along those lines, but it's got that kind of feel to it. This is not high street in the slightest. If you are a lover and you would only kind of like buy high street kind of like designer fragrances, this is not a typical designer fragrance for me. Like you said, if you're into your niche fragrances and you like a bit of a not a challenge, I wouldn't say a challenging fragrance, but a more of a fragrance that you can really kind of get stuck into, that's not going to smell like everything else. That's the type of the person that I would see buying this. Like I said, it's the clone of The Night by Frederic Malle, and they're not exactly high street fragrances now, are they? They're you'd have to take out a mortgage to buy some of those fragrances. So
especially The Nights, that's one of the most expensive ones.
Yeah, I think I mean, I'm not even going to look at it because I imagine if I look it up, it'll probably make me sick. Barry, you've got a question. You've got a question for you in the chat. When you say jammy rose, is it anything like Rose Jam from Lush? Barry might know this one, being a Lush super fan.
I think it's lighter than Rose Jam. Well, I say it's lighter. It's more similar to the Rose Jam perfume as opposed to the Rose Jam body spray. The Rose Jam perfume is a bit lighter than the body spray. It can be a bit too heavy, but I would say this has got quite a few differences with the amber and the oud in there as well. You don't get any of that with Rose Jam.
Oh, here we go. And that is for Jesus Christ. Okay, so you're talking this 50 ml, the exact same, and this is a clone of said fragrance that Tony is showing there. So without any discount or anything like that, this is $49.99. The Night is £650 for the same thing. Now I can't testify to what the Night smells like because obviously I've never smelt it, especially at those prices. But if it is a rose oud fragrance, there you go. It's almost $1,000 for 100 ml. That's silly money. I mean, but if you've got it, that's what tickles your pickle. Then crack on. But if you get something like this, then I suppose I can only go from what I can testify to this fragrance. Is I know that it lasts forever. I know that it is an affordable price. I know that it is a very nice, unchallenging oud. It's a very rosy. If you're a rose fragrance lover, you will like this. And considering its counterpart is over 10 times more expensive, over 10 times more expensive for the same amount. Yeah, shit, right?
I don't like any fragrance enough to spend nearly £1,000 on 100 ml. And this certainly isn't my genre to be spending anywhere near that. So at least this, for me personally, is a way to get that type of fragrance into my collection and use it if I want to without splashing that. Now, people might argue that I'll be taking business away. I won't go into the whole clone argument, but there are people that will argue, well, they're taking business away from. There is no way on earth I'm going to buy the original.
Yeah, the thing is those fragrances, because they're marketed at specific, like the people that buy that are always going to buy that. They're never people that have got £1,000 to spend on that fragrance are never going to want to buy a clone of it anyway, because they've got the money to spend on that. So there's no point in buying it. So I don't feel like the Frederic Malle fragrance is going to lose out any customers by this existing, just because of the contrast of price day and night. It's forgive the pun.
In fairness, I don't think Perfumologist are the company that actually copy like note for note. They're not trying to get an exact copy.
No,
he tries to get something which is along the similar lines, and then he tends to add a little twist.
but this if you're looking, I suppose the main headlines here though is if you are looking for a rose oud fragrance that is particularly rose heavy and not very challenging oud for an affordable price that's going to last a very long time, not just on your skin but in your collection, this is a really, really good fragrance to be able to kind of choose that is going to fit all those. It's going to fit into that description. And I'm not saying that because we're just reviewing. It's nice to be nice. It's that's genuinely how I feel. I'm not a massive fan of like you said, Tony. I'm fitting that same category. I'm not a massive fan of this type of fragrance, but I can totally appreciate the quality on display. And if for the people that do like this fragrance, there's nothing not to like about it. There's nothing that's going to put you off if you kind of like that category of fragrance. So, like Baz said, he likes this and he would wear it all day long. So, Tony,
I would say for people that aren't into rose ouds, it probably does lean more feminine.
Would you say so?
Yeah.
I'm not a connoisseur of this type of fragrance, so I wouldn't be able to tell you whether or not this is masculine.
There's a lot of men out there that wouldn't wear a rose fragrance, full stop, isn't there? So,
see, I think this is quite. I would say this is quite. I wouldn't say not manly, but I wouldn't class this as feminine. But again, that might just be because I don't spend enough time with these type of fragrances to kind of know the distinction between the two.
You know what? How I picture wearing this. I don't know if it's because of Mahit's style or not. It's black t-shirt, black leather jacket, black jeans, boots.
Yeah, it's dark. It feels dark.
Spray this with it. You're out. Let's say you're going for a ride on a motorcycle or something. It's gonna cut through that air. That's how I imagine this. Someone that's confident. Someone's going to wear that sort of clothing. That's how I imagine this being worn.
Yeah,
I just do.
You've got to have. I would say it is a confidence piece, isn't it? Because of how kind of like nuclear it is. It's definitely one that's going to get noticed, and you have to be able to kind of carry that off. Matt, it's apparently so. Apparently so, Matt. You know, the jury's still out on this one, but apparently so. So the designers keep telling me. Anyway, there's Jean-Paul Gaultier adverts. They must not be lying. So
another thing, you know what, Matt's. I know Matt's joking because what does Gravitas say on the bottle?
Yes.
So we know Matt must be joking.
Yeah.
However, anyone can wear them, and especially something like this as well, because of that rose. I don't see it necessarily as leaning feminine at all. I think rose. I think because it is a well-renowned ingredient that's used all over the Middle East. I don't associate it necessarily with my grandma anymore, if that makes sense. It doesn't. This certainly doesn't wear or behave in that way. I mean, anyone can wear it. It's not got. You know what I would have liked? I would have liked it to have been maybe have a bit of spiciness in there or something, just to give it something different.
Yeah,
a bit of saffron or cardamom or something in there.
I think that's what I was kind of expecting it to be like. You know, before I sprayed it, I was expecting it to be quite heavy, quite spicy. And then when I sprayed it, it wasn't really as I was expecting at all, because I didn't know what this was inspired by. I didn't know what it was going to smell like, so I had no conception of it. And I was expecting there to be a spicy nature to it, a more Middle Eastern vibe to it. And I was quite surprised by how kind of like, not light per se, but how mellow it feels in comparison to what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and you know, Yoshi, you've put there how much real oud as it does. Not a lot, and you know what? A lot of Middle Eastern fragrances on the tin say oud, and they don't necessarily. Sometimes I think, and Barry said this before in his review. Sometimes almost as if oud is a name for perfume rather than oud itself. It's
Yeah.
But you know what? There is. Bex definitely said it reminds her of a rose oud fragrance. So I would say even if it
I think we've
is
lost it.
aroma chemical that's being used,
Yeah.
I do detect a touch of oud. But yeah, you're right. For the price and the money compared to say the Frederick Malle Night, they're gonna. I would imagine that fragrance to be much more oudy. I would for that price. You'd hope it is as well.
Yeah, of course you would. Yeah.
But you know what? There's going to be a lot more aroma chemicals in this, but it gives you. I think it's going to give you a similar DNA.
Yes, but the thing is with the synthetic argument over synthetic oud and real oud is you can never, unless you can see how much they're doing it, you can never really tell that anyway. Like you just have to go with kind of like what they're saying. Like anyone could say, yeah, it's real oud, but then it's not. So it's not. I'm not really that fussed by the fact that it's not real oud or if there is real oud in it or not. Like it's got that kind of you can smell that there is an oud kind of smell in the background, and that's why I think it might be more akin to kind of like oud wood than it is kind of like a skanky barnyard oud, because it's a synthetic oud. It's not real, but that's the kind of. I feel like that must be the feel that they're going for, because this is not supposed to be an abrasive, harsh oud. It's supposed to be a mellow background note to the main attraction, which is the rose. And that's nail on the head. And if you can only do that and I suppose not only do that, but if you can do that with a synthetic or a cheaper way of doing it, then why not, in my opinion?
You know, Matt's put there, I've just said the same thing, haven't I, Matt? I'd be interested to know how much real oud is in the £1,000 one. It wouldn't it, Joss? It's never going to be disclosed, but it'd be nice to know if it does smell more oudy. Nick's put as well about, didn't you smell some at Scentualise? You know, I didn't really get any real ouds from the Scentualise. You get their oud salim and you get their different names, but they are very much like this. They're not containing a great amount of real oud. I have smelt some oud. I'm not an oud expert by any means. Matt from Questioning Sense is your person to talk to about that. But I have met up with Matt from Questioning Sense and smelt a couple of real expensive ouds. And then the ones that I smelt weren't as barnyardy as you might think. They were actually very thick, very resinous, and had a sweetness to them as well. They didn't smell barnyardy at all. No. So not all ouds have to smell barnyardy, but this aroma chemical of ouds that are used can go in many different ways. It can be woody, it can be a little bit barnyardy. And one thing I really struggle with some of these fragrances, and Barry, I don't know if you can understand this, or Nick in the chat, but the one that we got from Aroma Concepts that we really, really liked, and it was one of your favourite fragrances last year.
Oh yeah, the Classique.
Yes, Upor Classique. I cannot stand the way it's leaked in my bag, and my bag, I've got to get a new bag. It's that old, dried oud aroma chemical I'm not keen on at all. And I hate having it on clothes or on a jacket, and it's leaked in my bag. But the opening, the spray, and the wear of it is very different to how it smells sometimes out of the atomizer or where it's leaked. So it's this fills a room. It's not very oudy, I would say. That's me personally.
Yeah, and I would agree. It's not very oudy, and considering there is oud in the name, you would expect it to be more oudy than it is. But that's not a bad thing.
No, not for me. No.
You think it's got like a fruity feel to it?
Yeah, like a fruity. It's like a.
Yeah, it feels almost kind of juicy, a little bit. I don't know. It feels a little bit scrumptious without being edible, if that makes sense.
I feel like there's like a raspberry or a strawberry or something in there, which is like slightly lifting it.
Yeah, there's a sweetness, and I think that might just be the rose, or it could again we may be the aroma chemicals mixing together to make it like a phantom note or something like that. But I think that's what makes it a little bit more palatable, Baz, is the fact that it's got a sweet nature to it, whereas a lot of people associate oud with a little bit kind of like drier and more abrasive and a little bit woody, whereas this has got a little bit more of a sweetness to it, which is uplifted by the rose. So it's definitely not what I expected, and it's definitely not what you would expect from a fragrance that's got oud in the title, put it that way. But yeah, I really quite enjoy it for the type of fragrance it is. I will put my hands up and say it's never going to be my first choice of fragrance to wear, but that's just because that's not my choice of fragrance to wear. I'm definitely, as Steve would say, I'm a basic bitch when it comes to fragrances. The designer fragrances, I'm all over. These kind of fragrances, I'm never really going to reach for. But in the right occasion, this would absolutely do the trick.
Okay.
So overall assessments, then, Tony, what are we saying? I think overall you are thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, no, I'm not sitting on the fence for this. I am a thumbs up. I do feel a little bit like you, because I'm scared to wear it because of how long it's on the skin. And I know that goes completely against what other people want. And I said that people that will really want that really great performing fragrance, this might be for them. I would be just a touch self-conscious going to work with it. I don't think my work is the right environment for it. However, if I was going on a night out to a club or something, this would really carry well when your skin heats up. It would really be something different to what everybody's wearing, and I think you'd still smell great. You know how the best way I can put it without waffling too much, I do waffle, is Black Orchid. I have to be in a real mood to wear that type of fragrance. It's quite heavy. It's quite almost too much on some occasions, but there will be an occasion where you'd really enjoy wearing it, and I really love the smell of it. And I'd put this in that same category. That makes sense. I don't know if that does.
Baz, I know obviously you've just had your first impressions of it, and we've been talking about it, but I think from your first impressions, it's thumbs up.
Definitely thumbs up. And I know what Tony's talking about when he's talking about sometimes things being a bit too powerful, especially the ones. I mean, I think I mentioned it about Chrissy's new fragrance, that if you spray it onto like your jacket, it's all good and well and it's projecting, but then the next time you're wearing something else and you put that jacket on and you've got that overpowering the scent that you've just put on, it can be a bit too much sometimes. And unless you got a dry cleaners around the corner, you can't be cleaning your jackets every 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I would imagine this with how well it sticks to paper, and just as we would say, desks as well. You spray that on clothing. Yeah, that's there for the long haul. That is there for the long haul. I could see this potentially tainting your wash. So yeah, you'd have to wash it by hand by yourself, or like you say, nip to the dry cleaners. So positives and negatives for super long lasting fragrances, but they're not specific to this fragrance. They are just positives and negatives just in general for really long lasting fragrances. So yeah, I think overall three thumbs up then for Nocturnal Oud by Perfumologist. So a big thank you to Mohit for sending these to us. They are, like I said, for the price and what you're getting of it, it's insane. It's insane for the amount of money you're spending on it. Nick's asked a question. We'll answer this one question before we go into the other part of what we're going to discuss today. Is, do you think designer fragrances could lean a little more into oud? And I think what Nick means by that is we had a discussion last night around a lot of sweet fragrances, a lot of bubblegum fragrances, caramel fragrances that we're seeing a lot of recently over the last couple of years. Do you think the designer realm could lean into your oudy fragrances a little bit more, or do you think that they'll be not rebelled against necessarily, but not as and not big sellers.
I think what's happening more recently, that a lot of the big designer houses, they're actually creating fragrances now which are more for the Middle Eastern market, and that there's some fragrances that you can't get here, which they're only selling out there.
Yeah, like the stronger with you did that, didn't they? And D&G did D&G do that as well? With the one, I'm pretty sure they.
Is that the night one that they did?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Stronger with You did it, but they're not the only ones. And I mean, I think I can't remember who said it the other day. They were talking about the new Alexia, the Sauvage, and they said you could almost feel as if it's been designed for the Middle Eastern market.
So you think there's a bit of a kind of like a shift in designer fragrances to kind of tap into that market a little bit more.
Could well be, but I think oud is looked at as quite an expensive thing to own. I mean, just a little piece of real oud wood. You're talking ridiculous prices. So I think that's why a lot of companies are just adding oud to the name of the product, even if it's only got like a tiny percentage of synthetics in there. It's as if they're adding it because they know that it's more likely to sell with it on there.
I think it's a huge market to be able to tap into, kind of like the Middle Eastern market, because there's so many differences. But I think the problem is that most designer companies will face these days are pricing, because as you know, we're both aware that, you know, when you do kind of like, we've done Middle Eastern hauls and stuff like that, and you can buy fragrances that last forever, smell great, and cost 12 quid. You know, you're not going to get that from a designer fragrance. You're not going to get that from a designer house. And maybe the reason that they've not tapped into that market as of, well, up until kind of more recently, is because they're not going to be able to compete with your Middle Eastern kind of like those houses that specialize a little bit more in it and can afford to sell it for a lot cheaper, potentially. I don't know. Matt has said, a few years back, there was a lot of ouds being released as flankers. Not sure the mainstream buy into it over here. So maybe it's like you said, because it's considered maybe a little bit too expensive, people just kind of naturally just go, no, it's not for me.
I think it's more over here. People don't really know what oud is.
Yeah.
Unless you're well into your fragrances. If I spoke to someone at my work and said that fragrance had got oud in it, they wouldn't have a clue what it was.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Middle East, oud is well known and everybody knows about it, and it's looked as a luxurious product.
Yeah, it's finding the balance between it, isn't it? So we did say that we're going to talk a bit about kind of like Perfumologist and kind of like the brand in general and different other things on offer for it. And one of the really interesting things is, there's this that Baz has got. I've not got that myself. But one of the things,
you get that one, Tony?
Yeah, I did get it. Yeah.
One of the things that we found really quite interesting was with these, and me and Tony were talking about this off stream, and it is this labology. And it's a really, really basic concept behind it, which is really, really clever when if you're a fragrance lover, because what the idea behind this is that it focuses on one main note. And as you can see here, I've got mandarin. Tony there has got lavender. I don't know what Baz has got.
I've got the lavender one, and I've also got a sour berry one. So
what this does is it focuses on that main note. There are a few kind of other things kind of in the background, but this focuses solely on that note, and it's designed to be mixed and played around with either each other or other fragrances as kind of like a boost or a top up to kind of get you kind of involved in almost maybe even creating your own kind of scent profile around it. And it's a really simple but clever idea. And the bottles, I think what the size of that bottle, I think it's what, about 30 ml maybe. I think is probably a good estimate. But this Mandarin one, I sprayed it earlier on, and it's just the juicy orange. So the idea is if you've got a couple of them, you can mix them all together, create your own kind of like little fragrance or different mixes. But one day a different mix the other day. And it's just a good way of playing around with it, I think. And I as we were talking, like I said, Tony, off stream, it's just a really clever idea to kind of get your creative juices flowing more than anything. To think, well, if I mix this with that, what does that kind of smell combination come to, or is that what I'm smelling in this fragrance? And you've got like a reference point to it, rather than going and buying a really expensive raw material, which might be a lot more than buying this, which you've got a really good reference point to. It's just nice knowing that you've got a really strong Mandarin smell. Like if I ever wanted to know whether or not it smells, a fragrance has got the smell of Mandarin in it, I can refer to this now. It's who doesn't love the smell of orange, right?
Yeah. It's
I'm thinking to be fair of your Mandarin.
Yeah, I am as well. Because you could add that. You could add that to a lot of different things, and it would make something else smell great. Now, when I just got the lavender through, I wasn't overly excited because you smell it, and yeah, to me, people know what lavender smells like. A lot of people have it in their gardens. It's a natural material, but it is very it's very strong. It smells like lavender. But what I really like, what Mohit spoke to me about, was that he had a perfume over from France and they wanted to release these very cheap. He's going to have about 50 of these, by the way.
Wow.
And they're going to be around, I think they're about £15, but I'm pretty certain you're going to be able to get them for around a tenner each at some point. And it's a really cheap way to build up a vast amount of, we know they're not going to be the most expensive raw materials, but as you said, they will still be a great reference point. If you're smelling cardamom, we think we know what cardamom smells like through smelling not necessarily the most expensive raw materials available, but other cardamom heavy fragrances. And then you get an idea, when you smell as much as we do, you get an idea of what cardamom smells like. But to have the reference point alongside that, and then not only that, imagine you've got the cardamom and then you get your mandarin, you spray that over the top. I would imagine that's a nice smell.
Yeah.
And the way they've done them as well, they're like a periodic table, aren't they?
Yeah, that's the idea, yeah.
S, L, I, and SP there.
And one of the things that's quite nice on it, it gives you suggestions here, and it won't. I don't know if it's going to focus because my face is in the screen. I don't know if it's going to focus or not, but it says the major note is Mandarin, and then you've got creative, so it kind of gives you a suggestion on what you could mix it with to make a really kind of nice fragrance. So this says creative, citrus, tobacco, and cardamom. So if you've got, the cardamom one, you've got the tobacco one, you've got this, mix them together, you're going to get a nice effervescent, warming kind of feel. So it's nice that it gives you an idea of it as well. I just think it's a really, after when we were talking about it, Tony, I was really taken by the idea of it. It's really, really simple, but it's such a good way of being able to kind of get you used to something, because there's how many times, and especially me and Nick can testify to this, the amount of times you smell something, you think, what is that? Especially because we're doing these blind testing stuff. You smell it and you go, what is that? What is that? If you had a good, like you say, you good 10 or 15 of these, you could then just go away and go, actually, yes, I know what that smells like, because that's exactly what is in it. It's just good to be able to kind of train your nose, I think, is the main point. But not just that, because they are mixed with alcohol and they are a fragrance in their own right. If you wanted just have a basic fragrance one day, that's something that is exactly what you're going to smell like, it's a good idea just to back. Like I said, I could spray that on and smell like an orange all day. I mean, it probably wouldn't last long because orange is not a very long lasting note, but you're going to smell good because you know exactly what it is. So yeah,
you can also layer them with normal designer fragrances. If you feel, you say for instance, you've got a Fragile and you don't think there's much lavender in it, put a base of that on first, then add your Fragile to it. And I'll just pick that lavender up.
Tomorrow I'm going to test this. I'm going to either test this with molecule 1 or molecule 2, just to see if it boosts, because obviously this is not going to be a very long lasting fragrance, but you bang this with molecule 2 with ambroxan just to see how long it lasts. And like I said, you just get creative with it. So it's a really nice way of kind of doing that. And I thought it was just worth mentioning, especially after what we talked about earlier, Tony. So it was just, it's a really nice way to kind of get yourself into learning more about what goes into a fragrance without having to spend, because some of these raw materials that you can buy that are in like these huge kind of like boxes, and they can amount up to quite a lot of money, because if you're going to buy the raw material, most people want to buy the most expensive raw material, the most original raw material. And there's a reason why some fragrances are expensive. It's because that shit's expensive. So
the sour berries one, it reminds me of the sour Skittles.
Oh, and see, you're jealous of my man. I'm jealous of that.
Smells gorgeous.
So I think on the whole, we're very, very pleased with what we've kind of sampled and what we've smelt from Perfumologist here. It's really, really good what they've tapped into, and again, the idea of this labology thing, you could have hours and endless fun with creating your own little creations with that. So it's definitely worth checking out, I would say. What I'll do is, I've not got it in the comments now, but in the actual comment of the video, once it's posted, I'll post the website link. We'll also put in the description of it the discount code that Tony's managed to sort out with Mohit as well, just in case anyone wants to fancy purchasing anything off the back of what we've discussed today. And it's just take a look into there. So I think we'll leave it there for now, unless there's anything else that you two wanted to kind of discuss whilst we were here. Just shooting the shit, just chatting the breeze, really. Just
thanks for having us on. It's been a little while for me, so thank you.
You're welcome.
What others did you get, Tony?
I got the one that you've got there. I didn't pronounce the name properly.
Sutra.
Yep, that's the one. Well done, Barry. Well done.
Check you.
That's that, finally. And I got the Bleu de Chanel.
Is that a good one? Is that
yeah,
good?
It's really good. It lasts a long time. It's based on the EDP concentration, is what he's told me. And it is an EDP concentration in itself. And you know what? It's been one of those fragrances that I've never been massively interested in going out and buying. I like the smell of it, but I'm not overly interested in it anymore. So I've sort of moved on a little bit from that, I feel like. However, it's a good way of owning that DNA. And you know what? I've worn it twice, and both times I've really enjoyed the wearing. And now that's given me a U-turn. Do I want to go and buy the original? Because what have I been missing out on?
Bleu de Chanel is one of those, isn't it? That because it's like, it's just one of those. It almost kind of like it gets slept on a little bit, gets forgotten about, because it's nice, you know what you're going to get with it, and then you wear it again, and you kind of this is one of the discussion me and Nick had last night, where we're adamant that one of those is Lamal, and you don't smell it for so long, and then you smell it and you go, there's a reason this is loved. There is a reason this is loved, and I don't know why I don't wear it enough. But yeah, definitely. What other ones did you get, Baz?
There was a Kohinoor Oud.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Got
that here.
I've not smelt it yet.
So it's an interesting one. This is so from when I opened it. Unfortunately, mine leaked a little bit. So when I got handed the parcel, I could smell something like immediately as the DHL guy gave me the package, and I was like, "Wow, something's leaked in there." So it leaked a little bit, not a lot, just probably about a couple of mil. But because it had leaked a little bit and it had been lingering for a while, it's kind of got that oody kind of pepper infused in wood. Look at that.
That's lovely.
Yeah, because it kind of that dry oody kind of smell, it kind of like put me off of it straight away. So I smelled it and it was a bit, I wasn't overly impressed by it. But then when you spray it, it feels a little bit lighter and a little bit more effervescent. It doesn't last that long, but it's it's okay. It's not my favorite of the ones that we've got, but it's definitely not like horrible or anything like that.
Yeah,
What's
I haven't
that
tried
one?
it yet. I'm not gonna try it. I'm not gonna try it, and I'll probably do like a first impressions and a video. And
Baz, what was that one you were just holding up then?
It's pepper infused in wood.
That sounds good.
It says NASO or something on it. NASO, and then it looks like that.
I like the presentation on that one.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Very luxurious, isn't it?
Yeah. So I might do a first impressions of that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Video or something.
Providing you a bit of content there, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
Right. Well, again, yeah, we'll leave it there. Thank you both very much for agreeing to come on. It's been it's lovely having you on as always. It's been a minute we've all been on, so it's been nice getting the gang back together. So I'm pretty sure we'll do some more stuff in the future. But yeah, thanks very much for agreeing to come on, guys. It's been fun.
And what's happening with your Sunday shows? Have you stopped them for a while, or
we've just not? Yeah, to be honest, we've not spoken about it for a while. I think because work recently has been so busy, weekend time has just been quite precious. So we've not really. It's not like it's disappeared or anything. It's just we've not really just had a chance to talk about it or plan anything because work is just so busy. Planning anything in the week is almost impossible. And then when it comes to weekend, we just that knackered. It's almost just like I'd just rather chill. So we may bring it back, whether that's going to be Fridays or Sundays, depending on how things go. But I wouldn't dare say that it will be this side of this year. If doing anything, we'll probably wait until maybe New Year again. We might do the odd one here and there, but with work being so busy with us transitioning with everything that we're doing at the minute, it's not going to be showing any signs of slowing down until kind of like New Year time. So like I said, we may do the odd one now and again where we get people in and stuff like that and special guests like yourself, but in terms of regular content that we're putting out in terms of streams, we'll probably have to go back to the drawing board and think about how we kind of build that in next year once we've kind of got a handle of things at work, just so we're not so fucking knackered more than anything. Because some of those streams go on till like, if I remember rightly, like sometimes it went on till like 12:30, 1 o'clock. I think some of them even went on longer than that. So, and whilst they were, I mean, I must admit, I do kind of miss it because we had a shit ton of fun doing that kind of stuff. Like I do occasionally go back and watch some of the stuff on there, and it was so much fun to do. But just the idea of me doing that till 1 o'clock in the morning and then having to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning the next morning and do work as it is at the minute, like that makes me sad. That makes me sad. So yeah, I think just balancing the two at the minute. And once work's died down, I think, like I said, both me and Nick will be in a bit of a better position to be able to do it. So try and bring that back in. But yeah, it is missed. It is missed. But yeah, we'll figure something out. I'm sure. We'll figure something out. I'm sure. Tony, what about you with your lads? Because you were doing those quite regularly, and they kind of dropped off the radar a bit.
Yeah, I moved over to Instagram a bit, didn't I? I've done a few more recently. The only thing I don't like about the Instagram lives are they can be lost quite easily at the end of the live. You've got one opportunity to press save, and if it doesn't upload, or you don't press that save button, it's gone forever, everything. And then the other thing I like about it, you can't highlight comments like you can in StreamYard. You can't really interact with the chat as much. You can't really get it back. And then the chat replay doesn't show either. So you're watching back just me interacting with people with no interaction there for the viewer to watch it back, if that makes sense. So I'm finding that out that YouTube, and actually, well, I've got a lot more followers over there, it doesn't translate into views, because with YouTube, you get that notification, people decide to pop over and they tend to stay a little bit longer. in the Instagram, I'm finding people duck in and out because they're on the Instagram. They may be scrolling through, they see a live, they click on it, they're there for 5 minutes, they come off of it. It's I'm not sure if it's the right platform for lives. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Instagram. I've never done an Instagram live, to be honest. I'm not too sure how the whole kind of like process works and stuff like that. But from using Instagram, there's no doubt that the community in Instagram is a much more friendly community. It's a much more peaceful place. But I do feel like it's more of a kind of peaceful, but I'll just kind of carry on scrolling through kind of peaceful. Whereas I feel like YouTube is a little bit more of a place to dedicate a little bit more time to for one thing. But I suppose it's, you know, horses for courses, you know, you get benefits of each one, don't you? So.
I miss everyone's lives. I feel like it was a bit, I do feel like we were spoiled through lockdowns a little bit.
Lockdown sensation, wasn't it? It was something that and I've pondered this before, because like obviously we had Nigel's Friday Night Live as well, and that was always I used to really look forward to those. I mean, that was always a really good night to jump in and I think that lockdown kind of really brought out the best of that kind of environment. But now things are freed up a little bit. People are allowed to go out and, you know, live their life a bit. It's almost kind of it's not like the novelty's worn off, but it's like it doesn't feel like it's got the same place anymore. Whereas before, because there was nothing else that you could do, it was something to look forward to. But I suppose it's just kind of finding the balance, I guess, really.
Yeah, people's responsibilities shift, don't they?
Absolutely.
You try and get back into normal routines, and the things that we look forward to doing, we haven't got that spare time. And when we have got that spare time, it is a bit of effort, isn't it? For me to arrange and do a mystery guest live, I've got to approach a few people, try and get someone to stick, make sure someone shows up. You know how stressed I used to get about that. And then you've got to make sure that they're at the right time. You've got your questions ready. You can't just go into it blind. You've got to have some stuff ready. It took a bit of effort, and Nigel will tell you that. Nigel's, look, I mean, I didn't have any of the interaction or the screen things that Nigel had, or the quizzes.
Yeah.
Imagine how much effort that took.
Yeah,
and it gave us something to concentrate on, but we've got other things to concentrate on now, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, it's the time, it's the effort, it's the fact that work life is now resumed for most people. Obviously, with furlough, a lot of people with furlough, people finding extra time on their hands and stuff like that. And you know, like you said, just I think times change. I think you appreciate a little bit more the any spare time you get to kind of spend with kind of like family and friends. You appreciate it more because you know what it's like to not be able to do that kind of stuff. So I think it's like it's a bit of a shift, a change in, like, not priority, but like you said, it's just the sign of the times, really, isn't it? It's just like you appreciate a lot more what you can do, because we know very much what it's like when you can't. And I think that will die down a little bit once kind of like, because even now things are not fully back to normal, are they? It still feels a little bit weird out there. But I think once the new normal does come in, and I think it will come in, people will find that kind of like eagerness to always want to go and do something, because, you know, last year we couldn't do something. That eagerness will die down a bit and normality will resume. And I think that's the time when things will start to kind of build back into routine, should we say. So I think that last year is it's just thrown everyone off so much. I mean, it's amazing the difference a year can make in just in life in general. So yeah, I think people are just kind of just enjoying life now for what it is. And then I wouldn't think once that's died down, normality can resume, I think. So that's my opinion.
David, just to let you know, the Instagram lives, that's Instagram, that's my feed, they're always at the top where the stories are. So if anyone's live, there's 2 people live on my feed right now.
Okay, so, popular boy, look, 10 DMs, 10 DMs there.
That's how you find how many lives. yeah, it's pretty busy.
People sliding into his DMs all right. Look, this time of night, you dirty dog.
There's no love arts in there, I can assure you that.
Oh, it's been fun,
Brandon's
guys.
spot on with his comment as well.
Huh?
Brandon's spot on with his comment as well.
Instagram's low interactions but allows for more exposure. YouTube is kind of the opposite, where you're not constantly active. Yeah, absolutely.
You got to keep
But
going
yeah,
all the time. As soon as you drop off just a little bit, then the views start dropping off, and it's so much more difficult to get them back up.
Yeah, I think it's more of a dedicated kind of platform, isn't it? Like you get once you've kind of got a subscriber, it's almost feels like a dedication to the subscriber to keep putting that out, and then they'll drop off. Whereas, like I said, Instagram's good for exposure because you can get out there very, very quickly. YouTube is so unbelievably vast with everything. It's very hard to find that exposure. So when you build it up, it almost feels that a little bit more precious. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it depends on what you use it for and how you want to use it, really, isn't it? So it's positives and negatives and everything, really.
100%.
So we'll call it a night. I think we will call it a night. Thank you guys again so much. It's been fun. It's gone on longer than I thought it would. To be fair, I thought that we'd be struggling for things to talk about, but as always, things that's never going to happen, really, is it? We're never going to sit here and never have anything to talk about. So, yeah, thanks very much for.
Imagine in a pub.
Oh gosh, like lock-in. It's like you're gonna have to lock them. We're not done. Yeah,
beer flowing as well.
Yeah, Jesus, that would be amazing. Yeah, so thanks guys for coming on. It's been great as usual, and then like I said, I'm pretty sure we'll have you on again, and Nick will be here as well, adding some filth in the conversation as he always does. So yeah, but I'll say good night. Thank you very much. Thanks for anyone in the chat as well. It's been quite an active chat as well, so thanks very much. And we'll make sure that in the comments on the video and in the description, we put any links and the discount code that Tony's got as well. We'll put that in there so you guys can benefit from that as well. So all for you lovely people. Look what we do for you. Look what we do. Good night. God bless. Love you all.
Good night all.